Welcome back to another episode of the Feeling and Healing podcast. I am Danielle Z, your host, MFT in the making, motivator, and mental health maven. And today I'm so happy to welcome Manisha. She is also a fellow marriage and family therapist in California. So welcome, Manisha. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you so much, Danielle, to have me. I'm so excited. I'm so excited that you have this podcast. You're going to school and doing a podcast. You're a trooper.
Oh, well, I will say, I will share with you. I mean, you know the schooling that is required for this degree, and it's not easy every day. I mean, I enjoy it. I love the
Mhm.
learning, but it's a lot of work. So since we're both kind of, you're a licensed marriage and family, you're what I want to be in like 3 years. Um, and I'm studying all this stuff. Like, I would just want to open up the conversation to kind of like relationships. And because we talk, there's a lot of talk out there about like, you know, yellow flags, red flags, green flags, like in your mind, and we can have the open discussion of like, what are kind of like the red flags? Like if you're newly dating somebody and like, like they might, what are kind of those red flags for you that you might be like, not sure if this is the right thing?
I mean, I guess some of the more obvious ones, that's probably even on social media. Is like if they're refusing to pay on the first date, they make you go Dutch, that's like obvious signs.
Yep.
And I think those are the ones that you might immediately say, okay, I don't want to be with this person, or they don't follow through the next day. So I
Yeah.
think that makes it very obvious. I think it's the
Yes.
more the yellow ones that you get a little bit are unsure about.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think those some of those yellow ones are?
The yellow ones are, I would say maybe being uncomfortable with feelings or not, they might be saying, oh, if you say you're talking about something sad, they feel like it's about them or you want to.
Mm,
Yes. So I think some of that might come through the defensiveness because
mm.
it's hard to change that, then it's hard to have conversations if they're defensive.
Yeah, no, I would agree that if you're expressing something about your experience and then the
Hmm.
person's like, well, I know how that feels, or
Hmm.
I always say, pun intended, if you just, I mean, and I, because I pay attention to this, like how much the person says, like, well,
Yes.
and
Hmm.
and it's like, and if you're explaining something and they're not open to like listen to it,
Hmm.
it's a tell of how much they're like willing to receive from you.
Exactly. Yeah. Or the sense of curiosity,
Yeah.
is really important.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Is like because if you're interested in somebody, right? Like even like it doesn't have to even be a romantic relationship. Like
Yes.
you're genuinely curious about
Yes. Hmm.
that other person's experience.
Exactly. And then you can have conversations and be friends for a long term because you can always learn about each other.
Well, let's
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah.
I that's so refreshing to hear, Manisha, because that's how I like um uh enter relationships. Like, let's learn together, let's grow together. And I unfortunately have learned in my life, like some people don't have that same view.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I know sometimes, you might, or for me, maybe I've taken on the role of healer. I'm like, okay, maybe they're going through stuff, so maybe they don't have the capacity to ask me those questions. But I think at some point you need to figure out how long is this going on for?
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I know too, you as a mental health professional healer, same as me, like
Mm.
Um, do you feel, and this is like, I mean, sometimes, because I feel it, that
Yeah.
sometimes when you say, like, oh, I'm a therapist, like, people are like, oh, let me tell you all my problems and you could help me. And it's like, well, we're just having a conversation,
Yeah, exactly.
you
Or,
know?
I can empathize with you and, I can kind of go along with, the issues like, okay, maybe I need to, if you don't want to spend money for a while, we won't spend money,
Yeah.
but how long can this happen for? Is this a life
Yeah.
sentence or is it
Yeah,
just
right?
for a short period of time?
Yeah, no. And I know it's like always, I know we were just kind of talking about this, like with filing like red flags. Like, also, too, what's your opinion? Because I feel like the best relationships in life are the ones that where people have like similar values. And like,
Hmm.
like, there's a shared like value. Like I'll use an example. Like, like, like respect. Like, if you
Yes.
value respect, hopefully you find people in your life that like value that same thing. But like when you're like newly meeting people and stuff, and how do you like it's like, I mean, I do sometimes ask you like, oh, like what do you value? But how do you navigate that? Because I think those are the things that really build a solid relationship.
Yeah, I feel like there is some things about save others' values, So I think for me, talking about my experience,
Yeah.
someone might tell me that they value family. Like I value
Hmm.
family, maybe my partner values family, but how it shows up is very different. I started to feel like
Hmm.
maybe it could be using like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So for them,
Yeah.
maybe the whole, they're on their survival mode. So they just want to focus on their basic needs and just not want to
Mm.
like, focus on security. And for me, maybe my family is more into, self-actualization, making sure that, our emotional needs are being met.
Exactly.
So even if they say they value family, how does that show up?
I love that. I love that you brought that up because,
Yes.
like, you're right. Like, if your needs aren't being met, like, obviously your basic survival needs, like shelter,
Yeah.
home, like, you're gonna be in a state of, like, I guess, like stress. And I talk about this all the time of just like overwhelm, and you're not gonna be your whole self because you're literally just fighting to survive.
Yes, exactly. And I think trying to recognize that and maybe even exploring or understanding their family and seeing where it
Mm.
works, which sometimes you may not have that opportunity or even understand because they might not show that side of them.
Well, actually, and I think you would enjoy this as a family therapist, and because I'm with you. I'm like, see, like try like ask questions about their family, and I'm sure you've heard this before.
Hmm.
And that they say with like men, they say see how they treat their mother, and that's how
Hmm.
they'll treat you. I'm sure. Have you heard
Yes.
that?
I've heard that, and I think you should take that with a grain of salt
Yes.
because, you don't want it to be because the mothers might be so nice to their son and just given all the time that if you ever set a boundary, they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go hang out with my mom."
Yeah, well that yes, yes. Well, but what I was getting at too is I saw like recently I was reading something,
Yeah,
and it said
yeah,
instead of like, of course, like look at that, there's
yeah,
like, instead of looking, if you're like, for it's more of like for like a, a husband role,
yeah,
or you're
yeah,
looking for a partner.
yes,
It said instead of looking at how the man treats their mother, look at how their father and their mother's relationship is, because that's what they
yes,
model. And I was like,
yes,
yeah, that's probably a better thing to look at, is like
yeah,
to see how, like, and of course, like that's also too, as we're saying, if
mm,
you're exposed to that, like sometimes you're not exposed to, their family history and story.
yeah. So I think for me that was a little bit of like an eye opener because I mean I was aware there might be some conflict, maybe,
Mhm.
but my partner said that they wanted to be different, and I took their word on it. But I think some of those patterns do come up, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I mean, yeah, like, and thank you for being so honest and
Yes.
authentic about that, because it like, fortunately and unfortunately, we can only take people for their word. You know,
Hmm.
if somebody says to you like, I value, like, but what you just said, if somebody says to you, I value family, like that's what your expectation then of that person, that like
Yeah.
you value family.
Yeah. Right. Or they value change. They want to change those patterns, and you take it on their word. And maybe they do want to change, but they don't have the capacity or know how to, or they don't want to take the effort.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I will share with you, like, I've been in an
Yeah.
experience like that as well, like, very
Yeah.
frustrating for the
Yes.
receiver of, like, I'm gonna change. And then also, you go through, like, the emotional of, like, having an expectation, and then the
Yeah.
person doesn't change. And then,
Yeah.
it's like, you're disappointed. And it's like, and then I always ask myself, like, are my expectations too high? Is,
Yeah.
like, you go through that whole, like, internal struggle.
Yeah, sometimes I go through that struggle. So recently I've been hearing a lot about this whole term of decentering and just trying to, focus on myself. I mean, if my partner doesn't believe in therapy or is not self-reflective, I think decentering can help, especially if you need to take a pause to before making any decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of what I've been doing recently. If I need to take a class, if I need to go on a hike, I go with some friends. So that way I'm able to take some agency of my life.
Yeah. So like I guess explain that a little bit more. I've never is it like you're like decentralizing? Like
Yes,
yeah.
I think for a long time, maybe whether I was trying to work towards a relationship or they said they were going to work and then they get frustrated. So instead of trying to change the relationship, I might do something different. So for example,
Got it.
on Sunday, I'm having a Galentine's party, so
Nice. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So even if Valentine's is not up to my expectations, I decided, no, the next day I'll have this Galentine's party.
Well,
It'll be
you could,
fun.
yeah. No, I love that. I think
Yeah,
that's wonderful that
yeah,
well, especially like obviously with Valentine's Day like coming up. Wow, I didn't
yeah.
even that didn't even register me. Actually, I just looked at the calendar and I was like, wait, it is that February 12th.
Yeah, the pink
Um,
and the reds.
but because it is, I think, and also too, like I think you would agree, like our society, like
Yeah,
American culture,
yeah,
um, like really stresses having a partner and that like fairy tale of like, oh yeah, you meet somebody, you get a partner, you get the house, the kids, the
yes.
white picket fence, like it's very conditioned in us at a very young age.
Yeah, and I work with clients. Even for myself, whether I had a house, I had the education,
Mm-hmm.
there was a part of me that was feeling that I wasn't meeting milestones. And when I got married, with the wedding, I mean, there was some good things where I reconnected with my college friends. I reconnected with my cousins who I hadn't seen in a long time. So there was a lot of, reconnections, but it's unfortunate it had to happen at this wedding. It doesn't happen in any other, like very few places, whether it could be like a wedding, a funeral, and if you have kids and baby showers. So it's very sad that there was just these very few occasions that you have this reunion and when people are so happy or sad for you.
Interesting. Yeah. It's like they're right. There are these like milestone events that like if you don't have them, like you almost feel like, and I'll be honest with you, I
Yeah.
just I'll share an experience from my perspective that I just had, and even you said it in the
Yeah.
beginning, like you were like, oh, you're in school, you have a podcast, and like somebody, I was having a
Yeah.
text message conversation with one of my friends, and she was like, how are you doing? Like you're just doing it
Yeah.
all, and I was like. I don't, I was like, I actually like, I was like, I don't think I'm doing enough. And I
Mhm.
had to sit with that and I'll share it with you and I'll share it that I think I'm not doing enough. Like, I have a business.
Yeah.
I'm working towards
Yeah.
my degree.
Yeah.
Because I'm not married and I don't have children yet.
Yeah, so I feel like that, now that I'm married, and then get the other side, I have clients who are there, and I just want to, use this platform to say I understand that, but I
Yeah.
also feel that shouldn't be this milestone. And I mean, I've been seeing more, whether it's on social media that, whether it's for male or females, that marriage shouldn't be this whole milestone,
Mhm.
there's so many things that make us, who we are.
True. That is
And
very true. Yeah. Yeah.
once you're married, now you're with another person, and if it's not healthy, you're kind of in this really dark place, so
Yeah.
yeah, so, I mean, I would say yes, getting married, it unveils, kind of like, if you've seen Wizard, Wicked,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Exactly. Yep. Yep.
yeah, Wicked, yeah, Alphaba, it's like,
Yeah.
she had to go to this whole, like, see this wizard, and then but she had to go through this whole struggle. I'm like, why go through this whole struggle, unless you're sure, this partner is right for you, they meet your needs, they communicate well, they're funny, you could be goofy with them, if they meet those needs, sure, it can. I've heard like 1 plus 1 can be three,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't want 1 plus 1 to be like 0.5.
All right. I love that you just brought this up because I don't know
Yeah,
if you've ever heard of this before. Have you heard of 1 + 1 = 11?
I have actually the
Yeah.
manifestation, yes,
Well, the
master number.
manifestation, but also
Yeah,
because it's the concept of like, and like I'm just thinking like when you're with anything,
yeah,
like you're a
yeah,
couple. one
Yes.
plus one equals two. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's the manifestation, but then also too, it's one plus one equals 11 because
Yeah.
each person should be there, you know, that's what they bring to the relationship. So it's not
Yes.
two. Yes, of course you are joining, but you
Yeah.
are 11 because you're both solid in your own
Yeah.
self.
Yes, exactly. You're solid in your own self and you trust the other person to depend on them when you need them.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
huge, I mean, emotionally, I think
Yeah.
when you in any relationship, I feel
Mm,
like that's like to me when you're entering,
yeah.
of course there's levels of
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
friendships and everything, like, but at the
Yeah.
bare minimum, like
Yeah.
you're looking for somebody to see you and got help have some support,
Yes.
potentially give you some
Mm.
support and be there for you.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see you, they witness you, and that
Yeah.
if yeah, I mean, there was a time last week, a few weeks ago, I lost my keys in the park. I was like so frantic. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's nice to have someone you could depend on, but if you feel like you can't depend on that person, can't call them, you feel so lonely. So,
Absolutely. Well, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Like, yeah, like if it's like, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, like it's very, yeah, as you said, I feel like it's very isolating.
yeah,
To like, and of course, like, you know, um, I mean, I don't mind doing like, of course I'm an adult. Like I can do
yeah,
things like on my
yeah,
own. Like, but when
yes,
you're in, yeah, like when you're in a state of like distress or just like
yeah,
you wanna like,
yeah,
'cause let's be, like you talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like
mhm,
love and belonging
yes.
is on that hierarchy.
Yeah, and I would say, and then if they're having a negative emotion, it does affect you. So I think
Yeah,
it's, yeah, and you might try to have other activities or hikes, but it can affect my emotions and having to reset. So I think it's really important to take it seriously, to get into it because it's something you want and you feel it's going to enrich your life, not because it meets a certain milestone.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's and unfortunately, like, I'm not married. Like, I'm not, and
Yeah,
I will share, like, I'm
yeah,
37 years old. I'll be 38 in like a month.
yeah.
Less
Hmm.
than a month actually, now that I'm looking at the
Yeah.
calendar year. And I'm like, and I will say, like, I feel that societal pressure, but also I know to myself, I'm like, I'm not going to settle. And like I do want somebody who is like very emotionally intelligent. Like like I have like it's not like a long list, but I do have these like certain qualifications that I want because I want a true like supportive partner and it's I call it like a teammate. Like of course I want those other things,
Yeah.
the amazing things you get from a romantic relationship, but
Hmm.
at the end of the day, like we're on the same team. And I think Brene Brown said it in one of her like talks. She has many of them. And
Hmm.
I really love her. That like with her husband, it's like they're both together 100%, and like some days she has 90, some days he has 10, and then
Yeah.
some days it's never just 50-50 always. It's always like a range of wherever they're at.
Exactly. And that's a healthy relationship. And then that way you can both kind of enrich each other. If you have a
Yeah.
problem, they can help you and support you, and that's healthy. So I
Yeah.
would, think that'd be a good reason to get into a relationship.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
speaking of that, because like healthy and unhealthy, right? Like, and I know like we both
Yeah.
know how our nervous systems
Mm.
work, and they're
Yes.
lovely. They're amazing, but they're built off patterns,
Yeah.
as our
Yes.
brains are built off patterns. And
Yeah.
how do you know if you're in an unhealthy relationship?
Yeah, so I know you had talked about in one of, or either talked about it or I saw a newsletter with the body. So there were times in my body that I was uncomfortable as well.
Mm,
And I had actually even had expressed it to my partner, but they
really?
were maybe not using the word body, but my
You're just like you could
uncertainty.
feel it.
Yeah,
Like,
I was like, yeah, I could feel, but I wasn't sure if it was anxiety or if it was something that, that there was something about him.
mm,
Um, but I was just like, oh, I'm uncertain or something. But whatever I
yeah.
had brought up some issues, he would always try to resolve it at that time. But
Mm,
I think it's kind of really being able to kind of be at this higher frequency where we talk about not being in this. mindset of we need to meet a milestone or just
Hmm.
whether it's with the apps, the scarcity mindset. So we are able to listen to our own voice. Like I
Yes.
think part of it was also when I took advice from different people. Some people gave me great advice, some people didn't give me some good advice. And it was based on their issues. Like, they
Well,
might
yeah,
be in
everybody's gonna base it off of their like lived
issues.
experience,
Yeah. And
you
then
know,
I kind
like
of chose theirs like, oh yeah, they were like, oh, you need to compromise, you need to not be picky. And I kind of went along with some of that. I'm like, okay, maybe this, I could adjust or something like that. So I think there was some of that. So I think the more clear you are within yourself, the
uh,
better it is. The idea is, being as healthy as possible, you know,
yeah. Well,
and coming for this, idea of why do you want this relationship?
I will share, and I'm sure you would
Yeah.
agree that I'm a big like the relationship with yourself sets
Hmm.
the tone for every other relationship in your life. And
Hmm.
you will actually spend more time with yourself than any other person in your life,
Yes.
you know. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's important, being with yourself and being okay and understanding yourself. And I think sometimes people they're better when they're with themselves, but once they are with other people, it's hard for them to tune out the noise of the other person and what the other person says. Yeah.
I mean, like, let's be honest, like, we're
Yeah.
all human,
Hmm.
and I always say, like, biologically, like, we talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but in that love and belonging, but just biologically, we're built to connect with others. Like,
Hmm.
we're not, I think my professor last year told me there was like somebody that he did it to himself because
Yeah.
no, I don't think anybody in mental health would do this to somebody. He said that he was like, I'm gonna put myself in like a white room with no windows for like 30 days.
Hmm.
This person went insane. I mean, like
Yeah.
because he was, I mean, like
Yeah.
he isolated himself. It's like solitary
Yes.
confinement.
Yes, so we do need people. And just even today, I mean, because in terms of connections, I have some great friends who support me and I thank them.
Amazing.
I'm like, yeah, there might be other things that are not going well, but my friends are supporting me because I don't want to lose that kindness in myself, which can sometimes happen when you're in a difficult relationship.
Oh, I mean, let's talk. We can talk about that for a second. Like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, like self-abandoning yourself. That's my thing with relationships, right? Like, if I, that's like, and also, not even just relationships with people, with work, with school. Like, if I feel like I'm abandoning myself, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
nope. I like Danielle. You have to check yourself.
Yes.
I'm like, you have to, or with the relationship specifically, I'm like, sometimes I'm like, you have to walk away. If I am giving,
Mm-hmm.
giving, 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 and then I see nothing coming back,
Yes.
it's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm abandoning myself.
Exactly. And I think this is where the decentering and comes in because, some people may not, whether it's a job
Mm,
or a marriage, they may not be able to, or they're not comfortable making that decision, or they're not sure. Maybe they, feel things may change. So I think having that pause helps.
yes, yes.
Yeah. Like my partner says he may change, he may not change, who knows? Oh,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, like jury's still out, you know.
Yeah. But I think having that pause for yourself, helps. I think so, because I know might have learned that in therapy, right? If you don't know how to make a decision, don't make a rash decision.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yes.
I think yeah, I always like to say like the pause is like, and that also took me like just age and wisdom to learn.
Yeah.
Like I get it. Like there's a difference between a reaction and a response.
Yes.
And I will say I have reaction. We're all
Mm.
everybody does. We're human.
Yes.
But
Hmm.
yeah, like to take I always say to people like take the time to sit with
Mm.
your emotion even if it feels uncomfortable
Hmm.
because sometimes it does.
Yes.
Take the time to sit with it and process it because like emotions just want to be felt.
Yes.
That's what they want. They want
Hmm.
you to feel them. And then you decide from that place what you're gonna do with that emotion.
Exactly. So I think having that pause is helpful. So for me, like this year, I've been taking some pauses and whether I've been, hiking or going on retreats or taking
For
courses. So I think
you.
kind of giving some care for myself, I think it can help me be more stronger.
Yeah, I love
Mm,
yeah, and also too like just I always say to people, right? Like it's very like I know we live in this like very complicated world. We live in a very like dynamic world. There's a lot
mm,
going on. I mean, and everybody's telling you, I feel like,
mm,
do this, do that, do this,
mm,
like for health or mental health or what have you. And it's like I always say this. It comes down to like very basic things sometimes, like get enough sleep,
mm-hmm.
go outside, like take breaks, like
Yes.
breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yes.
these aren't like revolutionary things. Like it's like and then like also too like I feel like drink enough I would say drink enough stay hydrated.
Yes.
Drink enough water throughout the day and also to like eat try to eat as much as you can. I understand life and also cravings. Like sometimes you just want a McDonald's French fry. But like like eat whole good foods, Like
Yes. I
and
agree.
if like I'm not saying that's gonna like end all your problems, but because we're like life will always have, I feel
Mm-hmm.
life is I always say life is gonna just life.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, like if like just that's just, like that's what you got. Like if you can try to at least do those things, it'll I hope hopefully get you to like a good place mentally, physically.
Yeah, I agree. So I had my water before this podcast. I made sure I had breakfast. Sometimes I don't have breakfast, but today I did.
Yeah,
But
but you're human. Like,
yeah,
you know,
exactly. So my
that's what
therapist told me therapists need their therapist. They're like, think of your like what makes you you, right? So I was saying,
Mhm.
okay, maybe this year I can also focus more on my career, something making more structures on my career would be
Yeah.
helpful. Yeah.
Well, I will also share with you, I have a therapist as well. I I feel like all therapists outside of and like I actually probably have multiple therapists because I have a supervisor, I have my personal therapist. So like I have a whole team of people over here like helping me out. Because trust me, I like I'm all I'll take any help that I
Yes.
can get.
Mhm. Yes, we all need
But
help.
oh yeah, no, and that's another thing too. Like I'm sure you like there's no shame in asking for
Mm,
help in any way
yes.
or like you said like you ask for advice. It's like and I'm so happy to hear that like you have like you feel like you have a support system and that
Mm,
like you're able to like because having a support like not every I have to realize like not everybody
mm.
has that.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm grateful that I have some friends that we can kind of talk to and, who
Mhm.
understand. I mean, I don't want to always burden them with what's going on, the specifics, but it's nice that they're there and, they cheer me up. Like, one of them, like, she gave me a card, like a Visa gift card, for something. And I'm like, oh, okay, then I bought myself flowers, just, because,
Aw.
yeah, so I have like some things that, so however Valentine's Day turns out, I know that I'm taking care of myself.
Yeah, oh, I love that. Yeah, exactly. And I
Yeah,
love people that, like, I will
yeah.
say, like, that's when people like that make that kind of impact. Like, it's very,
Mm-hmm.
it's really like it touches your heart, and you're like,
It
wow,
does.
like I am loved. Like,
Yeah.
and I think pe we need more of that in our lives, like more
Mm-hmm.
experiences like that because, we all. I always say, like we're not human doings, we're human
Yeah.
beings, and
Uh-huh.
we are lovable and worthy just as we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, and I think that when we talked about the whale, like, I mean, I always knew I had good friends, but I think this really like reinforced that, like
Yes.
my friends are really supportive, my family's really supportive. So I could see that for myself.
Yeah, I think it said like I think Oprah has said, and I like quote
Yeah.
people up. I think she says your real friends are the friends that like don't just want to drive in the limo with you, like
Uh,
they're with you when like the limo breaks down and
yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
you're the car or whatever. I think she used the word
Yes.
limo, but like when they're there with you when the car breaks down and you're like changing the tire on the side of the road, like they're right there with you, like
Yeah.
so.
Exactly. This friend, she took me to my bachelorette, and now she's taking me when I'm going through these other struggles. So she's there through the ups and downs.
Well, that's great. I love to hear that because yeah, like I
Yeah,
mean, I'm not saying it's not it's okay to like
yeah,
just have like
yeah,
pet friends that you have fun with, but I think
yeah.
when you see somebody in their
Mm.
like their many different facets of their
Yes,
life and they're able to walk with you through
yes,
the ups, the downs, the
yeah.
in-betweens, I think that's a
Hmm.
very special thing.
Yeah, and I do feel grateful. And I know even as we're therapists, we hear like not a lot of people have friends, so it's good that we do have some friends.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I actually to share with you, I somebody told me forgive me, I forget who it was. This was a while back that they had a client and unfortunately the
Yeah.
client was older and he had
Mm.
passed just from like natural causes, like
Yeah. Mm.
nothing crazy, and that he actually like left his home to the
Uh-huh.
therapist.
Oh, that's so sad.
I know I and everybody's like, "Oh, but he was like, "Yeah, because it's like he didn't have anybody." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it breaks my
Wow.
heart."
Yeah.
Like that's but
Mm.
yeah, like unfortunately
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
sometimes the way the way things are,
Thanks.
you know?
Yeah. I know it's sad. I had my first experience out of college wasn't exactly as traumatic, but it was somewhat similar. I was
Mm.
working for a nonprofit with people who, had to be in the community instead of being in the hospital. And then I had to really set my boundaries, be like, oh, I'm your therapist, I'm not your
Yes.
friend. Uh,
Yes.
and when I was leaving, I was working in Boston and I was coming to California. And then he was like, oh, I had a dream that you're going to leave. I'm like, oh, because I knew that he didn't really have much social interactions.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
That breaks my heart too.
yeah,
But that, it's unfortunate. Yeah. So that's like, as you said, you're great, like
yeah,
gratitude and being grateful.
yeah,
Just,
exactly.
and I'm grateful too. I have an amazing support system that
Mm,
in the good times and in the bad. Like
yes,
I want to also
yeah,
celebrate life but
yeah.
but I'm a realist. I live in the
Mm.
real world and I think they say you're either like getting over a problem or another problem's coming. Like it's like they're never so enjoy the
Yeah.
moments where like it just seems like everything's like fitting together because you don't know when the next thing's gonna come.
Yeah, I guess in our culture, or that's what's happening with me. It's like when there's a problem, it's kind of when we tap into spirituality.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like you honestly, and this is my
Yeah,
honest, like my humble opinion,
yeah.
when you're on your true healing journey, you
Hmm.
will that tapping into spirituality is like you have to get there. I mean,
Uh-huh.
because like it's like there has to be a lesson and a reason for this
Yes.
because
Hmm.
I don't think that people are just put through experience like people like life happens for you, not to you,
Yes.
you know?
Right. So
And
that's what I've
then
been doing. Yeah.
yeah, but it's not easy.
No, it's not. Yeah. And yeah,
It's not.
because like, yeah, I was thinking marriage would be like love, but it's not like the art of war. And then you get into
Oh, the art of
spirituality.
war. You're like, yeah, that's really funny, actually. You're like, yeah, it's actually the total opposite.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank you
Manisha,
so
for
much.
your vulnerability. I really, really appreciate it, and it was a
Yeah.
pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Same here. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. And as
Yes.
usual, you can find the Feeling and Healing podcast on Google, on sorry, not Google, geez, on YouTube
Oh,
at Feeling and Healing as well as Apple Podcasts and
sure.
Spotify.